Hello, I'm Bernard Moyle, Chair of the Fire Marshal's Public Fire Safety Council. The Council is pleased to be part of the development and production of this video, Every Second Counts. We gratefully acknowledge our partners, the Canadian Automatic Sprinkler Association and the Canadian Fire Alarm Association. The Council recognized the need for a standardized training program for staff in care and treatment facilities. Although there are not many serious fires in these buildings, the results are often deadly. It is critical that fires do not happen. However, if a fire does occur, the reaction of the staff will determine the outcome of the fire. All staff must be trained and prepared for a fire emergency. I encourage you to pay close attention to this video. What you can learn from it and from the training in your facility may make the difference between life and death.
Once the fire starts, as long as there's fuel and oxygen and air, that fire will spread. So if you open a window or a door is opened, that will cause the fire to spread. And when it spreads, it usually spreads very rapidly. And we've been involved in situations where there have been major fires and obviously deaths, but some deaths occurred at the far end of the building where there was smoke exposure but absolutely no fire damage. So smoke is the most dangerous. It's mandatory that staff are well trained in how to deal with any emergency, especially a fire emergency, should that occur.
Working in a healthcare or institutional care facility brings with it special responsibilities. You are accountable for the lives of people who may not be able to take care of themselves in the event of a fire emergency. They depend on you to do the right thing, to act quickly and decisively according to your training and procedures. When it comes to saving your life and the lives of those in your care, remember, every second counts. In order to understand the importance of immediate action, you need to know how quickly fire and smoke can spread. Common causes of fires in care and treatment facilities include careless smoking, faulty wiring or incorrect use of extension cords, incorrect use of heaters or small appliances. Kitchens, laundries, and workshop areas also contribute to fire incidents. Policies controlling fire hazards in your workplace are there to protect you and the people in your care from potential harm. They are important because when a fire starts, every second counts. To demonstrate how quickly a fire can spread, we will use an actual example of carelessly discarded smoking materials. A smoldering cigarette is tossed into this waste paper basket. In only 30 seconds, smoke starts to be generated by the embers of the cigarette butt. Always remember that although a patient or resident in your care may be aware of a fire in its early stages, they may be unable to sound the alarm or communicate the situation. In as little as 3 minutes, the temperature has reached 260 degrees centigrade, 1 meter above the floor. No one would survive in the room. It will be impossible to gain entry into the room to assist the occupants. If the door to the room was open, fire and smoke produced would spread quickly. Smoke and heat can enter the corridor and spread into other areas of the building, interfering with rescuers' ability to intervene. The potential for injury and death is multiplied. At 3 minutes and 45 seconds, flashover occurs. Everything in the room ignites. Before the fire even gets to this point, human lives are in grave danger due to the toxic properties of smoke and the extreme heat released by combustion. For example, carbon monoxide is one of the most dangerous gases released during a fire. When smoke and carbon monoxide enter the body, it displaces oxygen in the lungs and bloodstream. The result is an inability to breathe, disorientation, unconsciousness, and then death. The smoke also causes choking, making it difficult or impossible to breathe and irritates your eyes. The smoke can become so thick as to make it virtually impossible to see, greatly reducing your chance to escape. Every second that you save in helping a potential victim or in preventing the fire from spreading lessens the chances of serious injury, death, and damage to property. People's lives are in your hands and time is critical. Today, there are 3 modern technologies designed to assist you in making your workplace safer: the fire alarm system, fire separations, and automatic sprinkler systems. The fire alarm system is an essential fire safety feature in every care and treatment occupancy. Employees must know what the fire alarm signal means and how they are to react upon hearing it. For example, in a small group home, the building may only be equipped with electrically interconnected smoke alarms designed to activate simultaneously upon detecting the presence of smoke. In other care and treatment facilities, the fire alarm system is often more complex. The fire alarm system may be either a single-stage system or two-stage system. Single-stage fire alarm systems sound a general evacuation alarm when any manual pull station or fire detector is activated. The building is intended to be evacuated promptly. The most common type of fire alarm system in a care and treatment facility is a two-stage fire alarm system. The first stage alert signal could be triggered automatically by a smoke detector, heat detector, automatic sprinkler, or be manually activated with a pull station. This first stage alert signal notifies staff that a fire emergency exists and the zone in which the alarm was initiated can be identified. Two-stage fire alarm systems offer better communication. Supervisory personnel can then respond in a more coordinated manner to efficiently manage the fire emergency. If the fire becomes more serious, warranting a major evacuation of the building, the second stage evacuation signal will be activated by designated supervisory personnel or the fire department. Your existing fire safety plan will designate who has the authority to activate the second stage evacuation signal. Often, buildings are also equipped with a voice communication or paging system. Verbal messages and important information is relayed to employees and occupants.
Code red, 15th floor, room 221. Code red, 15th floor, room 221.
You must know what the fire alarm signals you hear mean and also know what the code voice messages mean. Be prepared to respond immediately upon hearing these emergency signals. Buildings constructed today are subdivided into fire compartments or fire zones. This principle is key to containing the fire and smoke to the originating area. Here, you see how a typical story in a building is divided by fire separations. The walls, floors, and ceilings act as barriers to prevent the spread of fire and smoke. Doors are generally equipped with self-closing devices or automatic door closing hardware. If propped or left open, doors will allow smoke and/or the fire to travel throughout the building, cutting off exit routes, causing injury, and hampering rescue efforts. Automatic sprinkler systems are considered by many people to be the most important fire protection feature provided in care and treatment occupancies. Buildings equipped with sprinklers provide an added level of fire protection for the occupants. Unfortunately, sprinklers have not been installed in every facility. As demonstrated here, built-in heat sensors at each individual sprinkler head release water from the sprinkler at a predetermined temperature. Each sprinkler head operates independently, only distributing water in the area of the fire. During a fire, sprinkler activation controls fire spread and reduces smoke development, helping to offset the risk to life safety within these types of occupancies. National Fire Protection Association statistics have demonstrated that most fires involving light hazard occupancies have been effectively controlled or extinguished with the activation of not more than 3 sprinkler heads. Buildings that do not have all of these features may require higher staffing levels to compensate for the lack of built-in protection, as more occupants will be at risk during a fire emergency. Remember, fire and smoke spread fast. You must know why it is important to confine, control, or extinguish the fire. Know how to activate the fire alarm system and be prepared to respond to its signal. These features are important to detecting, containing, and delaying the spread of fire and smoke, but they are not a replacement for immediate action by all staff in the event of emergency. When a fire occurs in your care and treatment facility, you must react immediately. The following steps outline basic actions you should take in an emergency. Step 1. Remove all persons in immediate danger if possible. Step 2. Ensure that doors are closed to confine the fire and smoke. Step 3. Activate the fire alarm system using the nearest pull station. Next, call the fire department or inform the person responsible for calling. Step 5. Try to extinguish the fire or continue to evacuate if you are not confident in your abilities to put out the fire promptly. Circumstances will dictate the order in which these 5 activities are conducted. In an evacuation scenario, always remove people in immediate danger first, then the easiest people, that is, those who are able to walk, followed by people in wheelchairs. Non-ambulatory patients or residents should be evacuated next. Lastly, people who resist your efforts to evacuate them or those on life support should be evacuated last. If they are not in immediate danger, leave them in their rooms with the doors closed and make sure those rooms are identified to firefighters. There are 2 methods of evacuation that you should be familiar with: horizontal and vertical. Horizontal evacuation involves moving people in immediate danger horizontally through cross-corridor smoke barrier doors from one fire compartment or zone to another, as illustrated here. The sequence of evacuation should be as follows. First, remove occupants in the room of fire origin. Then, those next to and opposite the room of origin. Evacuation should continue outward from the immediate fire area. Vertical evacuation is more difficult and labor-intensive because typically it requires moving people downstairs. People in danger should always be moved down away from the fire, never above the fire. Do not use an elevator unless instructed by the fire department. Evacuation from floors below grade should move up and out of the building.
The best way to ensure the successful response to a fire emergency is to have all staff coordinate their efforts under trained supervisory personnel. It is critical that every staff member be familiar with their assigned role and carry out that role. The fire safety plan for your care facility will clearly outline the duties of all staff in the case of a fire. There are several ways to assist and evacuate patients or residents. The techniques you are about to see are basic. Due to special circumstances in your facility, your educator may teach you other techniques to use during an emergency. To move someone quickly, consider using one of the following methods.
If the person is semi-ambulatory, stand beside the person, secure the person's arm around you, and hold their wrist if possible. Snug the person close to you and walk to a safe area. Alternately, stand behind the person, place your arms under the person's armpits, keep your head to one side, grasp the person's left and right wrist, cross arms in front and gently prod the person to walk to a safe area. If you have to deal with non-ambulatory people, use one of the following methods. Lock the patient's bed so it does not move. Place a blanket on the floor partially under the bed and past the patient's head. Kneel with one leg raised closest to the patient's head. Grip the patient under the knees and shoulders. Lean back, sliding the patient off the bed. Control their descent onto your lap and then to the floor while protecting their head. Fold the blanket around the patient and then drag them head first to a safe area. The swing carry method requires 2 rescuers. First, raise the person to a sitting position. The team then sits on either side, putting the person's arms on both rescuers' shoulders. They then lock their other arms underneath the person's knees. Simultaneously lift the person and carry them to a safe place. The extremity carry also requires 2 rescuers. Standing between the patient's legs, one person grabs the patient's legs just above the ankles or the knees. The second rescuer places their arms under the patient's arms and grasps the person's hands or arms on the chest. Both lift the patient simultaneously and carry them to safety. In the event that you must evacuate infants, spread a blanket on the floor and place 2 infants in each bassinet. Up to 4 bassinets can be placed in the center of the blanket. Grasp the loose corners of the blanket and drag the infants to a safe area.
As shown earlier in this video, the REACT principle outlines the responses required by staff. Additionally, staff members trained in basic firefighting techniques may be able to extinguish the fire. Circumstances at the time